Hello, my name is Kevin McLemore, and today's discussion is going to be ethical reflection of myself in the Hornets model. Throughout this course, I have came to understand that examining my personal and spiritual belief is not a one-time task, but a continuation of ethical responsibility. As a counselor in training, self-reflection is essential to ensure that my beliefs do not interfere with client autonomy, welfare, or ethical care. This video blog reflects my personal process of examining area of harmony and conflicts between my spiritual belief and ethical principle outlined in the 2014 American Counseling Association Code of Ethics, using the Hornets model proposed by Mitchell 2023 as a guided framework. So I'm going to talk a little bit about ethical principle and my personal and spiritual beliefs. One ethical principle from the ACA Code of Ethics is now in harmony with my personal and spiritual belief is client autonomy. Autonomy emphasizes respecting clients' rights to make their own decision, even when those decisions differ from the counselor or my personal values. This is according to ACA 2014. Initially, this principle was challenging for me. From a faith-based perspective, I often feel a responsibility to guide others toward what I believe was more morally and spiritually right. Before this course, I unconsciously equated helping with directing. However, through my learning and reflection, I now recognize that honoring autonomy does not mean abandoning my values. It means prioritizing the client's freedom, dignity, and self determination. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the reconciliation process and the role of the Hornets model. The process of reconciliating my belief with autonomy was uncomfortable but transformational. I struggled with the fear that withholding guidance could feel like a moral indifference. The Hornets model significantly challenged my thinking, according to Mitchell 2023, emphasizing that ethical integration requires humility, accountability, reflection, negotiation, and ethical sensitivity rather than avoidance of value conflict. What stood out most to me was the model's instant of self examination before action. I had to confront my initial motivation and ask whether my desire to guide people was truly about their well being or about maintaining alignment with my own worldviews. This reaction helped me reframe autonomy as an ethical expression of respect and trust. I now see that supporting people in making their own decision, even when they're different from my belief, is not a violation of my faith, but a embodiment of ethical care and compassion. Now we're going to talk a little bit about ethical principles that remain in conflict within myself. An ethical principle that still remains in conflict with my personal and spiritual belief is justice, particularly when it intersects with issue of identity, value, and social advocacy. The ACA Code of Ethics calls counselors to promote equality, fairness, and access the service for all clients. While I fully support fairness and dignity for every individual, I continue to wrestle internally with how justice is defined and applied in certain subculture and moral contexts at times. I experience tension between my faith-based convictions and professional expectation. To affirm perspective that challenge my deeply held belief, this conflict has not been fully resolved and remains an area requiring ongoing ethical attention. So now we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about action plan to address this ongoing ethical conflict. To work through this conflict ethically and responsibly, I will engage in intentional supervision, continued education, and structured self-reflection, focus on value integration and justice-oriented counseling. Specifically, I would seek supervision that encourage open discussion of value tensions rather than avoidance. Research support that reflective supervision help counselors identify biases, manage ethical discomfort, and protect clients' welfare, according to Flowers 2020. I will also pursue continuous education that addresses multicultural counseling and social justice throughout ethical, not ideological lens. Additionally, I will use reflective journaling after each session to examine emotional reaction. And I'd like to thank you for your time.